Recording and transcription. There we go.
Great. Okay, excellent. So, thank you all for joining us today for our website training for our committee chairs and our board members. We're very glad that you all were able to come with us. Our new website has a lot of interesting tools and features, and we want to get you introduced to them so you can jump into doing the work of whatever it is that your committee or your board position needs to handle. So, can we go back one slide, Whitney? Thanks. So I'd like to thank both Whitney and Gretchen also for being here. I got the introduction part, but we're each going to do a portion of this presentation for you. I'd like to acknowledge Veronica Gayeton, who, as many of you know, is dealing with some health issues right now and needed to leave the committee for the time being, but we would not be where we are now without her excellent leadership. So I just wanted to have a little thought for her. And we've had some assistance from many others throughout this process. So if your name's not on this slide, but you helped us out with getting the website launched, we appreciate your time and efforts. So enough of that. Let's get into our content. So this slide's going to have, here's our agenda for today. You know, and you're thinking, hey, did we get the slides? They should have been attached to the meeting agenda. If anybody does not have a copy for some reason, please mention it in the chat, and Whitney will drop you a copy so that you can take notes or move at your own speed or whatever you need. We're going to talk about privacy. We're going to talk a little bit about Dropbox as a tool that we are using. We're going to then do a short overview of some of the front end chapter website processes. Then Whitney is going to take you through some what we're calling back office, as we used to call it, through some of the coordinator or administrator roles, tools, etc. Then we're going to be talking about what we're expecting from you as the chairs or board members, what we need you, what your next steps are going to be. We'll talk about some instructional aids for that. Then Gretchen's going to take over and talk about some of our new, the updated information about roles and responsibilities for chairs and board members. And then we'll do a little next steps wrap up, and then we'll have plenty of time for question and answer. We will stop briefly after each section, so if you've got a question and you don't want to forget what it is, feel free to jump in, or we can address questions at the end as well. So first topic is going to be privacy. This is a very common topic these days when we're talking about websites. I'm sure you've gotten messages when you sign up for a new account with someone about, we respect your privacy and here's what we'll do with your information. It's a very hot topic. And our new partners at Club Express are no exception to that. They put an emphasis on addressing these privacy concerns, and you know, NIGP is trusting them with our member data, and they're, you know, ensuring that they are going to keep data private as part of being our website host. We are working to provide some privacy information and protection for our members. This is it. That is not to say that we have not already been doing that, but we are trying to sort of codify that information a little bit better, announce it to the chapter so that they are familiar with, you know, what that means, that they can trust us with their data, and how they can talk to us if they have any questions about that. So Gretchen has been working on a statement that will be basically a description of our privacy policy. And our plan is that that will be provided to all of our current members as a reference of, hey, here is a copy of this that we have created. This is going to apply going forward, even though it's not really a change. And then we will set it up so that as each new member joins, they will see and receive a copy of that policy as they join. So it becomes sort of a rolling notification And then, we'll just need to answer questions about those topics as they may come up. So how that is relevant for you is that as board members or committee chairs, you all have an obligation to respect the privacy of our members' information that you can access. There's, if a member, they're not only providing sometimes their work information, but also their private information, email addresses. They may provide financial information. And as I said, this isn't new. We understand that you have already been practicing this sort of respect for their information and their privacy, but we want to remind you of why it is important. So, as it says on the slide, leaders may have access to personal data, and it's imperative that this data remains private and is not shared without the members' approval. And as an officer, committee chair, or co-chair, you will maintain the privacy of each member's personal data that you may have access to through applications, registrations, documents, or the chapter website. Again, unless you are approved to share that information by that member. Any questions about privacy or about the policy that we're developing? Okay. Excellent. Okay, great, Whitney. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is a tool that is called Dropbox. Many of you have probably already heard about this. You may have already been granted access, but we're just going to talk through what the purpose of this is, how you get access, how you get into it, and what we are going to need you to do with the files that are in there. So next slide, please, Whitney. So as part of our website migration, we were offered the use of a limited size Dropbox by NIGP. So it was provided to us by NIGP. They are paying the bills, but we are allowed to put our files in there. Originally, it was used so that we could download our files from our old website in order to be able to preserve them and then upload them to the new website once it got set up. As far as we know, this will continue in perpetuity, the access to this storage method. But for right now, how we are using it is storing all of the files that we downloaded from the old website so that, spoiler, you all can review them and determine what we need to do with those files. So the website committee had already moved all of those files from the chapter manager, and we have them stored. And so a lot of you have probably already received access to the Dropbox. You would have gotten an email saying that you had access to a folder. If anyone hasn't gotten that, or if you're not sure you have access, we can review that with you to make sure that you have access to that website. Next slide. So once you have the access, you should be able to log in and see all of those files. Something we did realize is that if you are trying to access it from your work computer, some entities may prohibit you from using Dropbox on your work computer. There's a couple of solutions for that. In Whitney's case, she asked her employer for the site to be cleared and received approval for that. In my case, we changed my access from using my work email address to using my personal email address. So then I can just access it on a computer that isn't my work computer. So again, we can talk through the options if you're not sure how to get access, or if you don't have access yet, we can switch that up. So our plan right now is that we are using the Dropbox space to store those files that need to be sorted, like I said. We may repurpose that storage once this process is complete, but for right now, we are just using it as a backup system to store those files so that you can access them and sort through them and take action on them. So so now, because I can't access Dropbox from my work computer, Whitney is going to kindly switch over to a screen where we can see what the Dropbox looks like. And there are several ways to access the Dropbox. The easiest way is going to be just to go to Dropbox and log in. You can also download a copy of the, like there's an app that you can install on your computer. You could download that if you want to, but that is not a requirement to be able to access the page. Mary, I'm sorry that you're having audio issues. I'm not sure why. If you haven't tried leaving and coming back, you can, or otherwise, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it won't even let me unmute her. It's like blocked. But Barb, you have your hand up?
I do. How do you get to this? You just go to Dropbox, Home, and Co-op? And do you have to sign in to it? Do you have to set up your own password and all that stuff if you've never signed in or created one?
I believe you will have to. So I personally did not go through that step because I already have a Dropbox account. So when the invitation was sent to me, it just added it into my existing account. So if you don't already have a Dropbox account, it is likely that you will have to sign up for one in order to access the folder.
Okay, I do have Dropbox.
Okay.
So if I open Dropbox, I should be able to just access it?
Right. Now, the difference may be like if you have Dropbox through a personal email address, but if we sent the invitation to your work email address, then you may not be able to access it without sending it to your personal email. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And I am not seeing her on there. So if you want to drop your email address that you would like to use, I'm sorry, Barbara, in the chat, I can get you added.
You can just add my SWACO email address.
Perfect. Okay, awesome. I'll reach out to Ronnie. She's the NIGP person who has the control of this kind of Dropbox. So I'll make sure to get her your information as soon as possible.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah. So if there's anyone else who feels like I didn't get an invitation, I'm not sure if I got an invitation, I would like to switch to a different email address, please let us know, and then we can send over all of those requests in one batch. Gretchen, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I did have trouble when they first set me up because I did have my own Dropbox account. So I know I had to contact somebody at NIGP to make a change. I can't remember exactly what they had to do, but if you're having trouble after you send it, you may need to reach out because they're trying to set you up under a different one. If that makes sense.
Yeah, and if you're, as with any point in this presentation, if you all are having trouble using these tools, you can feel free to email the website committee, Whitney and Gretchen and myself, and we will be happy to join a Teams call so you can share your screen or contact people at NIGP to get things updated or whatever we need to do to make sure that you have the access you need. Mary, you have a question. Mary, can you hear us? I see you have your hand up. Okay, well, Mary may be still having some audio issues, so we will come back to her question.
If Mary's having trouble, she can maybe type the message in chat.
Yeah, and folks, that goes for anyone. If you'd like to type your answer rather than ask it aloud, that is perfectly fine. So I will move ahead, and Mary, just chime in when you when you have a question or when your audio is fixed. So most of us are pretty familiar with how computers work. So I think that the Dropbox interface, do you need, no, Mary, you don't need access today. We are just going to be showing off what it looks like today, and then you can explore it on your own time. And if you have any questions, you can let us know. So thanks. Okay, so as I was saying, this should look pretty familiar to most other interfaces for looking at files, like the interface on your computer. Once you're logged in and you are connected to that shared drive, you will see a main folder. If you look on the left side of your screen, you'll see the main folder that's named Co-op, and then we have a tree of folders underneath. We did our best to duplicate the way that the files were stored on Chapter Manager. So if you are the treasurer, there's a treasurer folder. If you're the secretary, there's a secretary folder. And everything that is in there is what was stored in that folder on Chapter Manager. We didn't reorganize anything. We didn't move stuff around. We just put it where you would expect to find it if you were going to Chapter Manager. So as Whitney is kindly showing off, we've got the nested folders. If you want to click on one of those meeting minutes folders so we can see what's inside of it. So, you've got each folder in the tree, and then it will list either file folders inside of it or the files that are inside that folder. So if you click on board member meeting minutes, then we'll see, okay, so here's the list of files that is inside that folder. Again, we didn't change any names. We didn't change any of that information. We just downloaded everything and then uploaded it to here. And so when you are looking at the list of files, there are some different things you can do. If you click on like the checkbox that's at the left-hand side next to the file, you'll get some choices, like you can download it or you can delete it. You can open it just from here. You have some different options about what you can do. I would suggest downloading files, but if you want to just look at it, you can open it from here and look at it in Word or Adobe or whatever program it's saved in. You can access it directly. Since our intention is for the files to be moved from here to the website, it won't be easy to do that directly. Like, you can't really just drag it from here and move it to the other place. It's not quite that fancy. So you will want to download the files so that they can then be uploaded later. So my suggestion would be that you can download an entire folder all at once. So for example, the secretary folder, you could just download that entire folder and everything that's in it will come with it. Or you can download a subfolder and say, okay, I want the meeting minutes folder. So here is that. So that you can then access them on your own time, review them, sort them, whatever you would like to do. And then, as we'll explain later, you can then re-upload those documents to the new website. And we're going to get to that in a little bit. I also wouldn't suggest editing the files natively. So you probably won't need to edit many files. You may want to create a new folder structure or something like that. But that's going to be a little tricky to do natively compared to just downloading it. So take a look at my list here. We had created a few cheat sheets. I believe Whitney created a cheat sheet for how to upload a file.
Mm-hmm.
And did you create one on how to download it, or what was the other one you made?
Regarding Dropbox, I'm going to be honest, I don't remember the specifics, but I'll look at it at the end of this meeting and I can easily add a download if it's not on there as well.
So, but like I say, it's really pretty self-explanatory. If you just select the file you want, you'll get a little download button, and then your computer will ask you where you want to put it. It is really a pretty user-friendly interface to work with. So, another spoiler for later on in the presentation, as you're downloading and reviewing these files, we would like you to keep in mind our new record retention policy, because several of these documents are now outside of our policy because we have created that policy and decided that certain documents don't need to be kept forever. So that's something to keep in mind when you are reviewing the documents. If you find some things that fall into our you can delete this record retention policy, then you can choose to delete it. Now, we'll also talk a little bit about documents for historical purposes, but I don't want to give away the whole presentation before we get there. So that will be some topics we'll talk about in a little bit. Are there any questions about using this interface? Do you want us to show you something specific? Do you want us to demonstrate downloading a file? Anything that anyone would like to see?
Looks like Barry's typing maybe. Download a file, please. Yep.
Yep.
Okay, so let's say I wanted to go in, like Donna said, going to the secretary. I want my, I don't know, what is this, co-op travel task force meetings. These you can't see on the left, kind of like as Donna was alluding to, but they are there. So if you just hover over the left, you'll see a check mark. If you just want that one, or if you want several, or even all of them, you could do that. And then all you do here is download. It'll pop up over here if you're doing like a full folder, at least for me, on the way that my state website has set it up, it'll do a zip. So then I just open the file there. It'll come straight to my, what is this called? File Explorer. And from there you have it, and you can put it, as Donna said, wherever you would like. And it's as simple as that. And then just open it.
And Whitney's downloaded it automatically. Your browser may be set to ask you where you want to put it, in which case it'll pop up a window that says, where you can choose where you'd like the file to be saved. Do you want it in your download folder? Do you want to make a folder for it specifically? You can do that, and then it will save those documents where you instructed to save them. And same thing would be, like she said, if you're doing a whole folder, an entire folder will likely download as a zip file, but your computer should be able to automatically unzip that file for you just by opening it.
Yep, and I will also add, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Gretchen.
I was just going to say, since I'm using my own PC, it automatically, when I download, just goes to my download folder, and then I can put it wherever I want from that folder.
Yeah. Yeah. And part of that is how your computer is set up. For example, I set up my web browser to ask me where I want to put a file. And so if I was doing this on my computer, it would pop up a window to ask me where I want to put it. Your computer may be set up to just do it automatically the way that Whitney's does. But either way, you'll be prompted to save that file, and then you should just be able to either open the folder or open the file as you need to.
And there's also a host of other kinds of, maybe something has a typo in the name or something like that. You can always click the ellipses over here. You can rename, you can delete, as Donna said, if it doesn't fit with our retention policy any longer. You can copy. You have a whole host of things. Since this is obviously a shared collaborative space, you can also check the folder activity to see perhaps what other members have contributed, or if it's a shared document you're working on together before you move it over. You can also follow the document to see updates and things like that. So a lot of possibilities.
Some of those are maybe a bit more advanced than some users may want to use, but they are definitely there. And we can answer questions in the future if you want to try to use some of those features, implement sharing documents through this. We can, if you're interested, we can discuss that at another time. Any other questions about this interface? Okay, So as I said, we'll have time for questions if at the end. So if we change slides and you immediately think of something you want to ask, there will be time to do that then. So now I need just a second because I did not prepare my next resource. Sorry about that.
Real quick before you go onward, I think one of the slides we had in the deck was showing how to upload to this. I know we showed them about downloading, but is there anything that they need to know about uploading?
You can upload files. I will say that currently our drop, as I said before, our space is limited. NIGP only provided us with 2 gigabytes of space for this storage method. And right now we're using 1.74 gigabytes of storage. So if you have documents, say, for example, you have something on your personal or work computer that is a co-op related document and you would like to save it rather than just having it on your computer, I would suggest rather than uploading those into the Dropbox, I would suggest just uploading those into our website, which we're going to cover how to do that in a minute, because like I said, the storage is limited and our ultimate goal is to move all of our files that we are storing and having people access into our current website. Ultimately, we may use this Dropbox just as a backup in case there would be some sort of failure of the website. But, you know, one step at a time. Right now, we're working on getting things transferred over to the website, and then we will talk about potentially using this as a backup. So, but much like the download, uploading a file is pretty simple. On the screen we're looking at near the top, you can see there's just a big upload button. And you would click that button and then follow the prompts to, you can either upload an entire folder or a file, and it will give you instructions about how to select that from your computer, and then it should just create it wherever you want it, and then it will be accessible there. So, and yeah, as Whitney's demonstrating, you can also just drag a folder or a file directly into one of the existing folders. So, you know, if you have something and you want to drag it into that 2023 folder, you can just click and drag it, or you can use that upload button to search for it in your computer. So again, it's very user friendly and likes to make it as easy as possible for you to access and upload those files. So, yes, Mo.
I'm totally confused. How am I supposed to get to here, to even this Dropbox?
Right.
Because the whole time you've been talking, I put in www.dropbox.com/home/co-op, and all it's doing is giving me an error.
Sure. So Whitney is going to look. Can you? So I am not sure offhand whether you have access yet or not.
She does.
No.
Yep.
Does she? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw when Whitney was scrolling, I had access. That's why I thought, well, I didn't know that. So I went out while you were talking, and I've been trying to pull that address up, but it's not coming.
So if you are not already,
am I just supposed to go to www.dropbox.com?
Yes, ma'am.
What? Yeah. Then continue with Google?
Yes, your email address.
You
yep.
could do that. Or you could set it up using your email address. So you'll need to have an account with Dropbox in order to access the folder that has been shared with you. So if you don't already have a Dropbox account, you, like it said, you can use Google. You can use one of those tools.
I don't have a Dropbox. Sure. I've got no use for one.
Sure. And you won't have to use it again after this process, but that, I would say that is why you weren't seeing anything when you were going to that link, is that you weren't logged in.
All right.
As you see, it's making me do like find mice and all kinds of great things. So in that sense, it is helpful, but you know, as far as privacy goes, but not for this demonstration. So Mo, once you go to that main Dropbox login, you do, if you choose to do so, and you use your login information, your email, and again, you'll probably have to create that password. Once you do get logged in, it will just show like the co-op folder because we've shared it with you. It'll just show up. Oh, great. Another puzzle.
Okay. That's what I was looking for, Whitney. Thanks.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, it's too many mice. Okay, we're almost done with that. I'm
We're-
not going to do any more
we're-
puzzles.
Yeah, we're done with Dropbox. So, as I said, it's pretty user friendly, and our main goals are to have you download the files out of the Dropbox, review them, and then, as we're going to talk about in a few minutes, re-upload those to our new website. Mo. Okay. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is I'm going to give you a short overview of some of the front end website stuff. A lot of this is probably what you're already familiar with, but we're just going to touch on a couple of items that are going to be important for you. And okay, Whitney has it up. Thank you. So
did you want to drive, Donna?
No, this is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get to what I'm looking at. Okay, so as if you don't already know, you can just go to coop.org and find our website. You can also go to coop.clubexpress.com, and that will also take you to our website. The topics that we want to hit on, and you'll see that we're logged in as a coordinator. We made a coordinator test account, so a little bit later on, you'll be seeing some permissions that you should have if you are a board member or a committee chair, and you'll have limited permissions. You won't be able to see or access everything, but you should be able to see most of the tools that you need. But first, we're going to talk about a couple of the key points that I want to point out and make sure that everybody is familiar with. So first thing is, along the top there under our logo, you'll see the terms. And if you put your mouse over each one of them, you'll get a little drop-down list of things that you can access from that menu. The first one I want to talk about is the committee information. So that's, as you can see there, it's available under About. So that will have a list of all of our different committees. It shows, you will run into that problem sometimes, especially if you are using a work computer. Usually that, I'll do a little interruption to explain. You might see that TCP error. I know that I run into it a lot when I'm working from my DAS computer. You may see it if you're working from a computer that is on a virtual network through your work. Usually if you just hit the refresh button, it should fix the page, or you can go back and then click it again and it should load. But just a little side note, you may notice that problem. Don't panic. It is just because the VPN is sort of slowing your traffic down a little bit and pushing you, making you try again. So now you can see the committees page. So we've already pre-set up a list of all of the committees with a description of what that committee is for. If you click on the view members link for a committee, you can see, once we refresh, so for example, here's the awards and scholarships. It shows that Gretchen is the chair, and it shows the people who are involved in her committee. Now we have it set up that a committee chair will need to add this information. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. But if folks are looking for information about the various committees or who to contact, this is where they are going to be able to find that information. And we'll talk to you a little bit more later about updating that information if you are a committee chair. Next item, which I believe is also in the About tab, is the funding assistance.
Sorry, Donna.
Question too.
Yeah, we have a couple questions. Sorry to interrupt,
okay.
Donna.
Yeah, no problem.
So this is Gretchen. Just a quick comment. And I'm not sure if this was mentioned when you started. Whitney has logged in as a test coordinator, as a coordinator. So some of the drop-down features when you roll over those tabs are going to be different than if you're not logged in. So,
yeah.
So what she's viewing, you must be logged in to see some of this stuff.
Yes, that is very true. That's a great call out, Gretchen. If you are not logged in to the website, there are going to be some options that you won't be able to see because we have set that information to not be available publicly. So if you navigate to our website and are like, why can't I find this menu choice? It might be because you're logged out. The website will log you out after a period of inactivity. Even if you have checked the please keep me logged in button, it may log you out. So if you're not able to see a menu that you expect to be able to see, I think a good first place to look is, are you logged in? So that's a great, great question or great call out, Gretchen. Any other questions? Okay. So the next item, which I think is also in the about column, is the funding assistance. It may also be under, yeah, there we go. So this is where we have, you know, a nice little plug for our PDAP program, PDA program. You know, if you would like to get the application, this is where you will find it on the page. Next category I want to point out is the website how-to videos. So this is, right now we only have one video on this particular tab where you get to hear my dulcet tones explain how to log in. This is sort of a project in process, so we will hopefully have some more videos that will show up on this page. We are also working on some other resources for instructional documents about how to renew your membership or how to do some other activities on the website. Those are a work in progress, but we are moving toward getting some of those in place. Next part we want to point out is the contact us page, which is under the contact tab. So this is the page that is going to have all of the information about our officers and our chairs. So if people want to reach out to you and make contact to ask questions, this is where they can find your information. We have it set up so that it is not showing your individual work or personal email accounts. It is showing, we'll see in a minute, Kenzie, thanks. And it is showing one of our shared email addresses. So we have basically set it up that if you will receive these emails, if we get an email from that address. It is also currently displaying phone numbers. These should be your work phone numbers. If for some reason you would not like your work phone number to appear on this page, you can make contact with us separately after this meeting, and we can change those settings so that your phone number won't appear and only an email address will appear. Down at the bottom of the page, there is also just a general contact form that anybody can use to just send a generalized email. So you would just, you know, that person just enters their name and email address. They can fill it out, put in the message, what have you. It will go to either an individual person, or if you pick the general information, it will just go to that info@co-op email address. So you may receive emails through this format. If you do, that's what it's from. And then I would like to show off the upcoming events calendar. So under education and events, you can see our upcoming events calendar. We'll load that up. So the calendar shows many different types of events. NIGP has set it up that many the NIGP webinars or classes will show up on the calendar. Part of how you can tell the difference is based on the color. When different events are set up, they will be made a different color. For example, you can see our November meeting is in yellow, the board meeting is in red, some of the NIGP events are in white. Excuse me, and if you want to click, yeah, so there's a little key if you click on legend that shows what the different colors mean for the different events. And if you want to click on December, you can go back and forth through the different months to see what was in the future or what was in the past. So you can see there's our board meeting in December. There's also a list view, so you can click to see a list instead of a calendar if you prefer to see those events in that way. And you can search. You can, if you are a coordinator who has permissions to add an event, you can also see that there's an add quick event button there at the top because this coordinator has those permissions. We'll talk a little bit more about adding events later on. We also, the chapter, which I'm sure you are familiar with because Gretchen sent out some great emails, the chapter paid for a program through Club Express that's called Event Drills. So there was several in-depth classes about how to create different types of events, what the features are, and those recordings are going to be available to us in perpetuity. So if you, we'll talk a little bit more about events later, but if you are a chair or board member that needs to set up events, those videos are going to be accessible for you to review, watch again, back up, fast forward, take notes, etc. So, like I said, we'll talk a little bit more about, as a regular chapter member who is not a coordinator, you won't be able to add a quick event. That is just permissions for coordinators and administrators. But you'll be able to do the other searching and showing the list view, excuse me, going from month to month, etc. Those were the front-facing items that I wanted to show off for you. Are there any other questions about front-facing features, regular member features, where they're found? Does anybody have any questions about that we can show off for you? Okay, great. Like I said, we'll have time for questions at the end as well. But I am now going to turn it over to Whitney, who is going to talk to you more in depth about what we're calling the back office or administrator or coordinator tools that you will have access to for your particular position. Thanks, Whitney.
Of course. Thanks, Donna. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my camera, but just wanted to say I will be leading this. I'm having a little lag issues, but thank you so much, Donna. All right. So like she said, we're going to be kind of doing the back office, so to speak. As we already talked about, we are currently logged in as a test coordinator. If you're just a general member, you will not see this control panel, but for our coordinators and for our administrators, we do. So obviously, once you get logged in, you will see that. And we go. I often run into that a lot when I'm using Chrome. When I'm using Edge, I have less issues. But here's what you will see. Some folks will have a lot of features. Some will have less than others. But we should have your core features on this test coordinator. So what we'll begin with is our People tab here. You should see, again, People Lookup and Committees. Under the People Lookup here, it's pretty straightforward. It's exactly what you might think. You can look up individuals based on their last name, by their member status, any way you see fit there. If you want to look at actual committees, you can look within here. You can add a committee, obviously, if you get board approval and go through all of the proper steps. You can also use this button here to edit, make any changes that you might need to your committees if you're the committee chair.
Can I interrupt for a second?
Absolutely.
What if you don't have all those tabs? Because all I have is dashboard, website, communications, and support.
Let's go back here. Okay, you have dashboard.
Mm-hmm.
And what did you say?
Website, communications, and support. I do not have people.
No people for.
Not
I
Okay.
have no people.
I know. Go ahead, Gretchen.
The coordinator roles, not everyone was given the same tabs based on what the committee felt that that person or that role needed to have access to. Do you remember that, Whitney?
Yes, now that you say that, Gretchen, my memory has been jogged. That is correct. So different folks will have different permissions. So I guess Barbara, that you do not need people for right now.
Why
However, if
don't I?
yeah, why
I'm
doesn't she,
j-
Gretchen? I don't
yeah,
remember
I'm
that
just
part.
asking, why don't I?
Yeah, when this was originally set up, Veronica was working on the roles and we were going to go through them all again. I'm not
Yep.
sure that we have. I know we tried to determine if somebody in a chair needed access to different tabs, one of them being people. And I would say because she has at least ICPC and VP, she probably should have access to people, but it's something we probably need to look at again, all those roles for all the chairs and officers.
And this one's a little easier, well, actually a great deal easier for us to switch and make folks have that access more, quickly because it's not controlled by NIGP. All of this back end stuff is controlled by us at Co-op. So we'll make sure to get you added to the Dropbox, Barb, as well as look into your permissions. Great call out.
Thank,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
And then if anyone else is having similar issues, as Gretchen said, we will be meeting again to make sure, go through all those roles and responsibilities and make sure everyone has those proper tabs. Okay, great call out there. But as I was saying, if you do have the people option, you would see things like this. You would be able to add that committee. You would be able to look at your committee and edit. There's also lots of permission, kind of permission types, members only, those things. I'm not going to dive too deeply into this one because I don't think that we fully need to go into this. It's more on a case by case basis, unless anyone has something particular they'd like to see in this people section.
Whitney, would you look up a person and show them what a person's record looks like when they look them up?
Absolutely, will do. As I said, you could look up, several ways. You could look up members, both non-members, all those good stuff. I'm going to use Davies. Once you pop someone in there, you will find this. Gives a breakdown. You can email them directly from this page. You could see the membership data over here. Isn't there a caution about these expiration dates? Donna, have we seen if those are accurate, or is it just the begin dates that are not accurate?
They should be largely accurate. I am sort of looking into that. We may
Okay.
have a couple that are situationally inaccurate that need to be corrected, but in large part, they are accurate. If you have questions about a particular member for some reason, you can reach out to the membership committee and we can let you know if there's a concern about that person.
Perfect.
And
Thank
by
you.
we, I mean me and Danny.
And then if you wanted to see, again, filter that from expired or active members, the thing about Club Express and this website is there is an abundance of options, sometimes maybe too much. As Donna often says, it's a bit fire hosey, but we're trying to learn it all. And it does mean on a plus side that it's very customizable and we can pretty much do most of the things we're trying to do with it. But for now, we'll keep it moving over to, again, our control panel is where we have all of our back end access here. And we will move over.
Whitney,
Yes, ma'am.
can you go back to committees again and show the people tab there? Just because this is where they're going to need to.
This tab right here, right?
If they need to edit who is to be added or removed from their committees, this is where you would do that.
I don't think we should be adding non-members, right? But it is an option, I guess, if we needed maybe NIGP help or something like that.
Right.
Adding
Yeah,
mem
I'll chime in. We don't really have anybody set up as a non-member right now.
Mhm.
That's a feature that is available on Club Express websites, but we are not really using it. Anybody you're looking for who's a chapter member is going to be listed as a member, not as a non-member.
And then from this screen, as Gretchen pointed out, we have our names, we have our titles, if they're, if they have one within the co-op, whether they're a current member, their membership status, and then this is how you could delete or edit, assign the member. Let's see if it'll pop up for me. There we go. So if you clicked on that edit assign, you could give them titles. You could, show their phone number, their email address. You do have some options here.
Thanks, Whitney.
Yes, ma'am, of course. And then our control panel here. Again, this is kind of our gear shift as I always think about it. I always go back there if I, get lost in the abundance of options. And then for our website tab here, this has a lot of, I think, of the stuff that our coordinators will really be tasked with. And we will start with our document library. This is really where we have our storage for our chapter documents. And some of these files will be available for non-logged in members, or I guess the general public. But again, a lot of the privacy options will be for strictly coordinators or administrators. So you'll want to make sure, as Donna said earlier, that you are logging in when you're trying to get co-op business done. But this is what it will look like when you log in through the control panel. I'll just switch over real quick to show you the difference. You can do also the document library through the member resource tab as well, but it looks a little different. So I tend to go through the control panel because you have, in my opinion, way more flexibility. And what you'll want to do in here, I would say first, if you want to, I would say get some practice in, is look at our website how-to guides. You can click in here to view the documents. We have our titles of our documents. We try to make these really straightforward and along the same naming conventions as the previous website, as Donna mentioned. We have create dates, the visibility. Again, like I said, some folks can just see it as the general public versus members versus admin. This one is to reset the ratings, but we have not done anything with ratings, so I would just ignore this tab for now. This is how many downloads since this date, the format, and again, a plethora of options. If you just want to look at that document, you'll click the eyeball and it will pop up over here as a download. If you want to, so there we go. Here's an example of a kind of how-to. Here's the Dropbox how-to guide. Let's see if I had anything about, what was it, uploading or downloading? Nothing about downloading, but there's a lot about uploading. So if you need anything in here for your Dropbox, you can check that out. We have things about adding documents to the document library, which is what we're literally talking about right now. So this is a quick guide you would find there. I'm going to add more quick guides as necessary. If there's a topic that you would like, I can put these together. There's usually screenshots, highlights. Gretchen also puts together, and Donna as well, everybody, great how-to guides, but we can get them specific to whatever it might be that your need is. We try to do them step by step. So go ahead.
Sorry, I keep hating to jump in, but just a point. What you're showing them is only available to admins. They will be seeing the PDF versions.
Well, perfect. Okay, so you'll see the PDF versions here. Same documents. There's no difference as far as content.
It's just not downloading. I think it goes straight to your browser.
Perfect. Even better. I hate downloads. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Mo. Mo, you had a question? Oh,
Yeah, I don't remember what it was. It had to do with this. I don't get how you got to this screen.
right here up at control. Once you get actually
Yeah,
logged in.
I did that. I was doing that as you were doing it, but I don't get how you got, like, if I want to change I want to delete some members. Deb Bryan is no longer on the committee, and there's some others. And
Oh,
I
I see.
tried to follow you, but I don't understand how you got to where you can do the editing.
Okay, so
Plethora, as you said.
but you do have the committees, right? The tab.
I think so. I think I got that far.
Okay. And so you said to remove some. Let's just
Hang on.
use yours as an example. You are talking about the program, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm so sorry.
No, she clicked the little people picture on there. I don't know if you saw that. See the little picture?
Let me try to zoom in.
Yeah, see that I can't get to that screen is what I'm saying.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe we'll need to review. Okay, so you do have the control panel, you do have people, but you don't have this little module right here.
Tell me again where you went to. Is that educate? No, where did you go to start?
Control panel, very top right.
No, I got that. I'm there.
People tab number 2 here.
Yeah, I got that.
And then right here under website modules, it's the committees with 3 people. Maybe you don't have that.
No, I don't. Mine just comes to admin function people lookup. That's all it gives me.
Okay, let's get Mo committee. Okay, I'll add that to the permissions we need to do. And you said, okay, so let's say once we get that switched on for you, Mo, you'll have program here. And then as Gretchen pointed out, the little people here in the
Oh,
middle.
then I will have the screen that looks, okay.
And
Okay,
then
I'm glad I
exact,
mentioned it
yep.
then.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks.
And then you said Beverly is who you want removed?
No.
Deb.
Deb Bryant.
Yeah, Bryant, right here.
But I gotta add some too. I gotta add and delete some of them, so. And I gotta
Delete.
change, I don't think Adam's co-chair, so.
All right. Well, just as an example, if you're fine with Deb being deleted, I can just show what will that look like,
Go
if that's
ahead.
fine with you. So it'll prompt you to say, remove this member from the committee.
Yeah,
She
I
said
thought that's what it
yes.
would do. Okay,
And then boom,
boom.
committee, boom, that's it. And then if you decide, oh, obviously in this case, Deb probably not coming back, but if someone, you accidentally deleted someone erroneously, super easy to just add them right back.
Right.
And
Awesome.
Mo, in the background, I fixed your permissions. So if you go back to the control panel, you should now be able to see the committees.
All right.
Donna, you're
I'll do that when
amazing.
we're
Thank
done.
you.
Thanks, Whitney.
Yeah, thank you both. All right, so that's it. Really appreciate, again, you guys coming. This is why we didn't want to just record a video. It's so much easier as we kind of troubleshoot together. So thank you so much for all this feedback. And then I'll keep it going back to the document library, unless there's any other kind of questions about the people tab. Okay, awesome. So once again, just kind of recapping where we're at the control panel, and now we're in that website tab. And now I'm going to click the document library. And much like the Dropbox, honestly, we, again, did a lot of mirroring here. You'll have your top level folders, but if you just click them, you could see all the subfolders as well. So, it looks all nice and compact, but everything's nested within. Some subfolders have subfolders have subfold, it can get infinite. It's like the Russian dolls. But here, this is, again, where I would suggest to start is your website how-to guides. As Gretchen pointed out, what will be available to our coordinators is the PDF versions that will just pop up on your screen. So you won't even have to bother with downloads if you don't want to. What I would also like to show you within here is what happens if you just click on, like, for example, the treasurer here. Treasurer says no documents, but obviously if you click that button, you will see folders and folders. So our treasurer hopefully will upload documents soon, but you will see that within there. In our chapter resources, we have our bylaws. These are the type of documents that you would be able to see, with some exceptions, without being logged in. But again, the vast majority of these documents you won't be able to see unless you actually physically log in. But if you click a top level folder, you can view the documents that are within it. You can add a document singularly. Perhaps you just have one document you want to add. Super easy to do that. If you want to add multiple documents, again, super easy to do that. Perhaps you have you were in the chapter resources folder, you realize actually this is the wrong folder. Even if you are in that, you can change it. So that's really handy for me. Actually, I have board meetings minutes to upload. So just switch your folder there and continue on. I want to highlight, as Donna said at the beginning, we're trying to be very diligent about privacy and security. So just make sure that you're following, your best judgment and any rules that are established as far as that goes when you're creating your visibility. Right, let's see here. You can also change the display sequence if you would like, if you want them to show up in a certain view in a folder.
Whitney,
Yes, ma'am.
can you show them? I'm not sure if you're going to the committees. I think we may have set up folders for them and possibly some subfolders already.
Absolutely. Right here, As she said, committees, it looks like, again, no documents, but if you hit that plus button, you actually see, as she said, the committees with subfolders that do have documents in them. Which one should we go? Let's check out program. I should also note that you can edit right here, right? You can edit that folder if you need to without going into it. You can also add a subfolder right there without going into it. But here is what inside of the program's folder would look like. And again, you can add a single document. You could add multiple documents. And once again, when you're actually looking at individual documents that have already been uploaded, you have all of these different columns of information. You have the ability to view it, to edit it, which is really not editing the document itself, I should say. It's really editing the information as it displays on our website. But if you did want to change that document out, you could do so by switching out the files. You can also copy the document should you need to do that. I haven't found a need yet, but you know, if you want to send that document out, I guess, via email or whatever, but I think it might be a little difficult because you have to ensure that that person is also logged in. So take that, you know, kind of with a grain of salt. And then you can delete the document here and add any comments, which again, I don't think we've really gotten into needing any comments on documents yet, but again, it is feature rich. And so to kind of tie it into what Donna was talking about, if you obviously you're a committee chair, if there are documents that have not been moved over or documents that you have and want to upload, you would go to your respective folder. You would follow the retention guidelines. Perhaps it's very outdated and there's not necessarily a need to keep it. And then from there, once you've gone through those steps, you would pick the corresponding folder or subfolder or subfolder, whatever it falls into. Like perhaps you're in the awards and scholarships. Perhaps, you know, you're uploading some minutes. You'd go in here, choose which way you want to go about it. I find the document library is, you know, kind of, there's a lot of things to click. There's no denying that. But once you get familiar with navigating it, I find it very similar to just your standard, you know, file explorer on your computer. But yeah, that's kind of how I see it. Is there any other things that I might be missing that you'd need to know?
Mo has a question.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mo.
Did you have a question or is your hand still just raised from before? While we're waiting for Whitney, there was, I think I noticed there's a new folder at the bottom.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not sure if this is the time to talk about that. Donna mentioned it earlier.
Yes, Donna, did you want to talk about this or did you want me to go ahead and address it?
I'll mention it briefly. So we talked about the records retention policy and how that's in place now. There is an exception to that for documents that we feel have particular historical importance or value. So for example, if you have some older documents, we may also in the future be scanning physical documents that may be things we want to keep, you know, a certificate of an award we received, or a particularly interesting membership roster, or something of that nature. We're not sure yet what those files are going to be, or if there are going to be files that fall into that category. What we did is we created a file called historical documents. So as you're going through your documents that you have as a committee chair or a board member, if you have some documents that like, okay, this is outside of record retention, so normally I would delete it, but I actually think we should keep it for this reason, you can put that document in this historical documents folder. And our thinking as the committee is, as folks go through and identify those documents, then we can determine a organizational structure, folders, etc., based on what documents are actually identified as historical. So if you'd like to create a folder inside of this folder and call it programs or call it membership, and then put any historical documents that you have in that folder, you can do that. Or if it's just one, you can just drop it in that folder. Yeah, as Whitney's showing, you can make a subfolder if you'd like to, or if it's just one or two documents, you can put it in there. And as we're going through this process, we will review those and figure out how we would like to store those long-term and label them and identify them. So.
Yeah. Again, super easy to add a subfolder like Donna said, but again, no need to make extra work. If it's just a few documents in there, you can just drop them right in. All right. Any other aspects we should explore? I see, Mo, that you still have your hand up. Did you have a question about any of? Oh, go ahead.
I don't know why that's still up.
I'll put it down right now.
That's been up since it never went off. Yeah.
There you go.
I was thinking, do I have to turn that off? And I thought, nah. Anyway, I had to take a quick break. You have to excuse me. I heard my name and I was like, well, what the hell are they talking to me for?
Well, good thing it was just the virtual hand. Otherwise, you'd have been pretty tired, Mo. But I got it lowered for you, so we'll keep it moving.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. All righty. Any other questions about kind of the document library? Sometimes I can go a little fast because in my brain, I'm like, I don't want to waste your time, but I'm here if you have particular things you want me to go through or demonstrate. You could search for things. I guess I should have said that too. I never really searched. Let's see. Board minutes. Let's see how good it is. I don't think very. I think it'll get better. Oh, maybe no. It did a little bit. I think our search would definitely enhance once we start adding tags to things. But again, we haven't really done that yet. But there is a search feature with limited capabilities at the moment. But if folks don't have any more document library questions, I will rumble on. Oh, looks like Janelle's here. Okay. Hi, Janelle. All right, let's see. All right, we have done the website tab. Let's see, any other tabs here? Emailing. I saw Mary sent out a great email, so clearly she's on this. I know Gretchen often uses the emailings feature. This is here as well. Let's see here. We updated our committee members. We covered that. Am I missing anything, ladies? Otherwise, I'm going to turn it over to the lovely Gretchen to talk about roles and responsibilities. All you, Gretchen.
Sorry, my mic was off. Can you go back to the control panel and hit the support tab? One thing I wanted to show them is for the event drills that Donna was talking about earlier. This is where you would access the videos that are the recordings from each of those trainings. If you want to go back and go through the classes that maybe you were not able to attend, that will show you how to more in depth of how to create an event. This is where you would access. Also, other videos and help guides for the website.
Yes, that was a great. Thank you so much for that, Gretchen. Yeah, that was a big oversight on my behalf. These are tools that they've created, so absolutely great call out there, Gretchen.
Oh, no problem. I was more interested in the event drills, but reminded me of the other stuff. Okay, so I'm here to wrap this up for you guys. Is basically talking about, get back to my slides here, your roles and responsibilities. So many of you may have already seen this document. Mo and I have been working on the new chapter manual, updating the current one. And currently there are roles and responsibilities in the current manual that are very limited or maybe even outdated. So we've been working on updating that portion so that you all will have a list of what your roles may be. Some of you may not have any idea what your roles are. When you took the offering of, would you like to chair this committee? Well, sure, that sounds like fun. But no one maybe told you what all was included in that responsibility. I've heard that from several chairs. I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing. So this hopefully is a more detailed list. Most of you may have already seen this and were given, I know the officers were given opportunity to comment on them. So we have finalized this. This document can be viewed from the website, one of those drop-down tabs. If you're logged in as a member, you have to log in. The very last link there at the bottom under member resources is policies and procedures. We've put documents there that we feel you may find easier to get to them than trying to go through the whole document library. So the bottom one is the leader's roles and responsibilities, and we've covered roles and responsibilities as an officer, as a chair or co-chair, and as a volunteer. So they can be pretty in depth, but it should hopefully give you a really good rounded out list of things that fall under your role that you have. So we encourage you to look at these roles, read them, get familiar with them, and if you have any changes that you're aware of, please advise me. I've been kind of handling the maintenance of this, and Mo and I work on it together going through it. So if we need to make changes, I'll put it in there and then throw it out and see if we all agree with that. So look for this and take that time. Next steps. So we've talked about reviewing your roles and responsibilities. In this list of next steps, I realize login to the website should probably be first, because then you can review your roles and responsibility document. So to do that, you will need to log in. Most of the stuff we're showing you today, as was said earlier, you're going to need to log in to do a lot of this work. The other thing we want you to do is review and update your committee members. And we would like to have that done by December 9th. When January 1 comes around, part of the responsibility of the Awards and Scholarship Committee is to submit the chapter performance, which has to be done in the spring, but we use the list from the website to count the number of volunteers we have involved in the chapter. So that's why that's important that that's current. And you would want who's been on it over the last year. Of course, we have a responsibility right now to make sure we update everybody's roles that you can get access to that committee members list. So we'll make sure we have that done this week so that you can get your work done on this by the 9th of December. The other thing the next step would then be to log into the Dropbox. And again, if you're having difficulty, feel free to reach out to us to help you get through the technical issues. Once you get to the Dropbox, you will be moving the files from the Dropbox to the website document library that we just spent some time on. You will only need to move the files that are under your responsibility. So as Awards and Scholarship Committee Chair, I would move the files that are in there only for my Awards and Scholarship Committee. I have another co-chair committee responsibility as public relations, so I would do those files as well. I don't have to worry about the treasurer's files. I don't have to worry about program files, only my files. Some of you may find you have no files to move to the Dropbox. Maybe there are no files for the March's Purchasing Month Committee. Maybe doesn't have any files that was in Chapter Manager, so none of that would have to be moved into the document library. We would like for you to have this done by the January 15th time frame. Once we are able to get these items moved over, we will be able to start cleaning out the Dropbox and hopefully have more space in that Dropbox. Mo, do you have a question?
Yeah, so, for instance, now I know I'm almost certain I don't have any as program to move over. How would I know if there's something out there? Do I
Yeah, so in the
go out
document
and look?
library, I'm sorry, in the Dropbox, you
Uh-huh,
saw there were folders there. Now I will tell you for public relations, I'm sorry, programs,
uh-huh.
a lot of those are falling under the year folder. So in the Dropbox, I don't know if Whitney can go to the Dropbox.
Let me try. It was giving me mouses last time. Mice,
Oh.
I guess.
If I can share, I could show you mine.
Oh yeah, perfect.
Now you have to help me here. Do I do something to share?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Right next to the leave button with the phone that looks like you're hanging up on the top right of the screen, you should see the share button with an up arrow.
Yes, I see that. All right. Am I sharing yet?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So over here, as Whitney showed, some of these files on the left, some of them are dated only with like 2017 files. So you'll see there's several different things, and such as archive 2017. Some of these are where these were like from meetings, which would be public relations. But there were some folders, let's see if it's archive 2012, that actually says, like here it says program. So you may have to look through some of these and drop them down on like, here's program. If I click program, it says program, but nothing is there.
Yay.
And you may find that with a lot of these that they may not have put anything in chapter manager, but as Donna said, we brought over the structure just as it was in chapter manager. So some of it may not show, but see, here's November annual luncheon contract. Those would probably be under programs, in my opinion, because that's who's responsible for it. It does say program committee. I guess if this was expanded out, we would have seen program committee there.
Okay, but based on that, the new retention policy, God, that says 13, that's 10 years ago? Certainly not.
Yeah, so if we talk about the record retention schedule,
I was just gonna ask, where do I find that? Because I don't know what
yeah,
program
that was
is.
going to be coming up here.
Okay,
Whitney, you want to go back to sharing? Yeah. All right, so as part of transferring these files, you will have to transfer them based on the record retention policy, which you can find under the tab.
got it. Okay, I saw it.
See that, yeah. So when you look at some of that, if you go down to the bottom of that, or close to the bottom, right there, it will show you what documents are there and how long they're to be stored for. So most of the committees will have probably meeting minutes. Is probably what they will, those are for the boards, but then chaptered records where it says chapter meeting minutes 3B is kept permanently. So we'll be pulling over the minutes. Any other documents for your procedures or items that pertain to why you selected something that should be retained, I would pull it over into your document library in the website. Does that help you there, Mo?
Yeah, I think so. I'm assuming that permanent, that I would move those over. Plus, my other question is, so this year, with the contract that we had with Creekside and the speaker, I would just put them in my program.
Yeah, so those are probably residing on your PC at home.
Yes.
Yeah, so you would go into the document library
And put them in.
Yeah, and you can upload it directly into that folder. You don't have to worry about Dropbox.
Okay,
And
yeah, that's what I wanted to know.
Yeah, Whitney, if you could go back again real quick to the document library. And to the awards. Full committee under committees, the awards, yeah. So you can see like the agendas there. I have 2 there. A lot of them, I have a lot of files. A lot of these files were on my PC here at my house and they were not in Chapter Manager. So I just uploaded multiple documents at one time from my PC directly to the document library. And that's exactly what you would do, Mo.
Okay.
Pretty easy.
Yeah, so you say. All right.
We can walk through together if we need to.
Okay.
And I'll interject a little comment here. We are kind of considering each committee chair's folder to be their domain. Sometimes people like to set things up based on calendar year. Maybe you would want to have like a folder for contracts, and then everything that is a contract, regardless of what year it's from, is in that folder. We're not putting a lot of rules on how individual committee chairs organize their folders. Please just use a system that makes sense to you. It's relatively simple to click through, so we're not going to spend a lot of time telling you you must sort it by year or you must sort it by topic. You guys get to make the choice for yourself.
I will comment that, yes, I agree with Donna, and that's true. I will make a comment based on what's happened in the past when somebody went to changing all the files to by year. If I was looking for a particular contract in her scenario, I'd have to keep looking in every year to see if that's where that contract is. So I have found it, at least for me, and everybody, like she said, everybody has a preference. When I want to find an agenda, I don't want to have to open up every year because sometimes I copy agendas and use them, and I just want to look at all of them and see which one I want without having to check every year. So it is a preference thing, but that's what I found when we did change them in Chapter Manager. I thought it became a little bit more cumbersome. So thanks, Donna, for that idea. Mo?
I think what you just said is probably what maybe you ought to use as a guideline rather than just, I mean, you could put it out as a suggested guideline for this kind of thing, ladies, you being on the committee.
Suggested guideline for doing
How to, what you just said, don't do it by date, do it by category.
type, yeah. And we're always available to look at the document library folders once you put everything out there and you're wondering, is it right? We can look at them for you or do cursory reviews. So that, again, the website transfer, hopefully by January 15th. We understand everybody has busy schedules, so especially coming up to the holidays. So, we are going to be flexible if this is a date we cannot achieve. And like I said, some of you may not have anything to do. Lucky you. Okay. So that wraps up, other than if you have any other questions that we haven't addressed, we're here to answer them for you.
And I will add that we did not cover events. I realize that, but we do have all those event drill videos. But I'm more than happy to walk through an event if anyone needs to do that.
Or
Awesome.
if there's anyone that needs any other help on anything else, if you don't have them today, but you think of it tomorrow, you have our emails here that you can.
Where is the music coming from?
I'm going to mute, see if you still hear it.
That is not my music.
I wonder whose it is.
I don't know, but I'm intrigued. Okay. That was
Uh,
actually hilarious.
Yeah,
That
love the
was
outro.
hilarious.
I think it was Tom. 'Cause
I love
Tom
the
was
outro music. It was
unmuted
such
somehow.
good
Yeah.
timing.
Um, yeah.
Nice ending.
Yes.
Yeah.
Again, I know we probably didn't cover everything, but we have a lot of information covered, and whatever else we didn't, feel free, as Gretchen was saying, hopefully you could hear amongst that music that we are always available to help. All three of us, I think, are on that website, quite a lot. But feel free to reach out to any one of us for help.
And I wanted to say one more quick thing about the records retention policy. So I know that that's a relatively new policy, and we picked what we thought were some generalized guidelines, but there's obviously room for if we think a particular document or set of documents should be kept longer than the records retention or shorter than the records retention, that can be a conversation. So if you come across something as you're going through your documents and you think, you know, I know this says permanent, but maybe we don't need these certain documents, or vice versa. Or like I said, if we think, oh, there might be a historical value to keeping this file, even though it's technically within the delete window, feel free to just reach out to us and we can discuss it. It's less of an issue of space and more of just an issue of, hey, we don't need to keep every single thing forever, right? So if there's any questions or concerns about particular documents, we're happy to talk through that with you. I know the policy is new and this is sort of our first big application of using it. So there may be questions as you all go through your documents.
Thank you, Donna. I see Janelle is typing. She may have a question.
I'm going to go ahead and end the recording. I think it's a good time. Is that all right?
Yeah.